Hi, I'm Wheeler Winston Dixon, James Ryan Professor of Film Studies at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and today I'd like to speak about the films of Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott is one of the most important commercial filmmakers working today, along with people like Christopher Nolan, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, but he works at an extremely high level. His most recent film, of course, is Prometheus, which is a prequel of sorts to Alien, which has not been all that well received. If you look at Ridley Scott's earlier work, he started with a great film called The Duelists in 1977, and then struck gold in 1979 with Alien, which is one of the greatest science fiction horror films ever made. Entirely original, a film which redefined science fiction in a dystopian fashion. I have seen the future and it doesn't work. This rundown spaceship being sent by a corrupt corporation to a hostile planet to bring home a monster to use as a weapon of war. It's a brilliant film. This was followed by Blade Runner, which he took through 3 cuts. The first cut, which he was forced to use a noir voiceover in the film, and he cut that out in the second version to great effect. He followed that with Legend with Tom Cruise, which was not all that well accepted. Black Rain in 1989, which was also very problematic. But then Thelma and Louise, which was a huge feminist box office hit. G.I. Jane in 1997, Gladiator with Russell Crowe in 2000, which was a surprisingly effective evocation, of ancient Rome.
Are you not entertained?
Black Hawk Down, one of the great post 9/11 movies. Kingdom of Heaven, American Gangster in 2007, in 2010 Robin Hood, and in 2012, of course, Prometheus. He's also directed a series of commercials, the most famous of which was the 1984 Apple commercial, in which he sort of said this Big Brother version of 1984 will not happen because Apple will make the computer much more accessible.
We shall prevail.
What's interesting to me about Ridley Scott is that he does not like to use CGI, computer-generated imagery. He likes to use large physical sets. He also likes to use 2 or 3 cameras at once for coverage that covers the whole scene in one go, and then he can just move on to the next setup. As he said, it may take 45 minutes to set up the cameras, but at the same time, once I've done that, I can get all the footage that I need in one take and move right along. He works very intensively with actors, and he is really a very good visual stylist at his best. He's an interesting director because he's a personal director, but he's also a commercial director whose films are aimed at an audience but also express a personal vision, which is a world of non-stop action, one in which people are constantly in peril and have to make hard choices. But Ridley Scott is a filmmaker whose films you should see, and particularly films like Alien and Black Hawk Down and G.I. Jane. These are films that will, and Thelma and Louise, these are films that will definitely last. I'm Wheeler Winston Dixon, and this is Frame by Frame.